بصفتي رئيس مجلس إدارة نيوم نقدم لكم The Line.
NEOM is this incredibly expansive project.
He's creating a city at the cost of hundreds of billions of dollars.
Imagine this, a skyscraper so tall it looks like it's trying to touch the freaking sky, or an artificial island shaped like a palm tree, cause why the hell not? These are the kind of projects that are popping up all over the Gulf states, and you know what? They're not stopping anytime soon. Now, why in the world would they keep building these things? Well, the answer is simple. Because they can. These countries have more money than they know what to do with, so they're just like, let's build a giant indoor ski slope in the middle of the desert because we can. But it's not just about showing off their wealth and power. These mega projects also serve a practical purpose. Want to know why? Join us on today's episode. First, we need to understand that the Gulf countries are different from most Western countries. They are ruled by monarchies and their rulers are wealthy men who finance ostentatious projects to give prestige to the royal family and their kingdoms. So, naturally, they want to show off their wealth. And what better way to do that than by building gigantic constructions that will last for centuries? Throughout history, the most powerful people have always tried to demonstrate their wealth with massive constructions. The bigger the building or statue, the richer the person who built it must be. However, the Gulf states take this to a whole new level. They love to invest in large infrastructures that seem impossible, such as the 170-kilometer vertical city that the Saudi Arabian government plans to build to house 9 million people. I mean, who needs that much space? And there's the FIFA World Cup. It's one of the most prestigious events in the world of sports. But did you know that Qatar spent over $200 billion on the FIFA World Cup? Yes, you read that right, $200 billion. And the second most expensive FIFA World Cup in history cost just $15 billion. So why did Qatar spend so much money, especially if they're not very fond of soccer? You see, the FIFA World Cup was the perfect opportunity for the Gulf states to prove that they are capable of hosting massive international events. They spent a fortune to enhance their international reputation and demonstrate their purchasing power. And before the FIFA World Cup, they were already investing in large skyscrapers and unique buildings, such as the Emirates Palace, which cost $3 billion to build, and the Abraj Al Bait, considered the world's most expensive building at $15 billion. But let's be honest, these buildings are pretty dumb, right? Who needs a vertical city or a skyscraper that costs billions of dollars? Well, the Gulf states do. They see these buildings as a symbol of power and prestige. But you see, behind these luxuries, there are multiple reasons to explain why Arabs are tempted to spend so much money, including the difference between new money and old money. Now, new money refers to people who have recently acquired wealth, like lottery winners or basketball players who have just won a major competition. And you and I know how they love to flaunt their new riches. Now, imagine an entire country made up of new money. That's right, I'm talking about the Gulf states. Before the discovery of oil, most of these countries were just a bunch of nomadic tribes with a few camels and big houses. But ever since the black gold was discovered, the region has transformed beyond recognition. The discovery of oil in the Arabian Peninsula was like finding a diamond in the rough. The local leaders were transformed into immensely powerful men, and the Gulf states began to bloom into state-of-the-art metropolises with the latest technology. But here's the thing. Most of the wealth in the region is based on oil and gas, and while that's great for the economy, it's not so great for diversification. Most state and private sector investments were channeled into energy-related businesses, and local industries began to disappear. It was just more profitable to invest in oil and gas than in any other sector of the economy. Now, the development of the manufacturing sector was held back, and the region became a single-product economy tied to an oil and gas supply would eventually run out. Now, the solution they found for this is to build huge, dumb mega-projects. Building these projects is not only good for the economy, but it's also good for diversification. By investing in these projects, the Gulf states can create new industries and new jobs. Now, what's the point of building gigantic buildings when there are still people struggling to make ends meet? You see, just because the Arab states are rich doesn't mean that everyone is equally wealthy. The media might show you images of sheikhs and nobles driving golden cars and owning exotic pets, but that's just a small fraction of the population. In reality, there's a huge gap between the state's wealth and the working class capital. And let's face it, The media likes to focus on the sensational and the extravagant. But here's the thing. The Gulf states don't want to become another Venezuela. They don't want to rely solely on oil and end up in economic failure. That's why they're investing in infrastructure development, building more roads, airports, universities, and hospitals, and they're doing it strategically, spending more on infrastructure development than the United States and Western Europe combined. When you look at the word tourism, the first word that pops up in your mind is the Line. Yes, the latest NEOM project from Saudi Arabia. Now, the Line isn't just any other green city. It's a city that is built to combat global warming in a way that is quite unique. Imagine parks, pedestrian zones, schools, homes, and workplaces all overlapping vertically, making it the first city to apply the concept of zero gravity. The city will be covered in a mirror facade that will blend with nature, and 3 layers will make it the smartest city in the world. But let's be real here. Is this project going to come to fruition, or will it end up being another engineering feat abandoned in the desert? The project is set to be completed in just 8 years, and it will cost between $100 and $200 billion, with some estimating it could cost $1 trillion. Now, that's a lot of money. And building such a huge project could generate far more emissions than it seeks to prevent. So, is it really worth it? And let's not forget about the indigenous Huatat tribe, who have already been displaced from their land to make way for this project. On April 13th, Abdul Rahim Al-Kaiti posted several videos online alerting the world to an alleged attempt by Saudi security forces to evict him and other tribesmen from their ancestral lands to clear the construction site. If the project goes ahead, these families will lose their homes. When looking at the brighter side of things, the Gulf states need to keep building these megaprojects to keep up with the ever-changing world. They need to keep up with the competition and not be left behind. And let's not forget about the potential benefits that this project could bring. The Line aims to incorporate renewable water supplies to make it self-sufficient, and could be the first step in a new era of sustainable living. One thing that experts point out is the location. I mean, who would want to live in the middle of the desert? Sure, the government's plan is to create a city where people can live and work in the same place, but what if people don't work in the same city where they live? That's just going to make commuting a nightmare. And don't get me started on the limited number of elevators. We could be waiting for hours just to get to work or home. And what about the design? I mean, a city full of similar buildings might seem cool at first, but it could quickly become monotonous. But it's not just about the design. What about the people who will live there? The Line's website makes big promises, but it neglects to mention the community structure, the diversity of household types, the likely demographics, and the rights of the people who will move there. Will their individual freedoms be respected? Will they be forced to adapt to a certain culture? But on the other sides, these buildings attract thousands of investors from all over the world. And if they succeed, we could see more of these structures in the future. Who knows, maybe the Gulf states will become the architects of tomorrow's cities. Alright, there are a ton of questions to be answered, and we need more answers to evaluate what's going to come up in the Middle East. Anyways, what do you guys think? Do drop your views in the comments section below, and we'll meet in the next episode soon. Until then, stay tuned.